You'll like this one. It's not about directly about Starmer, that he's been in the news far too much, and I'm waiting for something else to happen
Yeah,
before I
yeah,
make a comment on him.
yeah. He's getting more boring than normal.
Yeah, nor am I going to talk about reform because we've already said what we've had to say about the Conservatives going
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So let's go on with this one. This is a bit of a bombshell.
yeah.
Ready for this?
Okay.
So sometimes a person will say something, but that something never sees the light of day.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if it's a witness to a crime, but the police don't think the information will be useful to the cause,
Mm-hmm.
they put it on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Very rarely will it be brought onto the pitch,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
We've seen this more recently with information about COVID and the polemical vaccines, where doctors and scientists who found out information through tests were
Mm.
kept in the dark rooms, never to
Yeah.
be seen again with
Mm.
a valid research grant.
Yeah.
Right, that's what kept them quiet, their research grants.
Of course. Yeah.
So Saturday passed, a famous American economist, Jeffrey Sachs, don't know if you've heard of him.
Yes, I have. Yes.
He said in an interview with the Italian daily newspaper Il Fatto Quotidiano
Mm.
that President Macron lied to the world when it came to all the subjects on Ukraine.
Mm.
He said that in May of 2022, he was given an award, the Legion of Honor, by Emmanuel himself,
Mm.
and said the French leader in private told him, open parenthesis now,
Mm.
exactly the opposite of what he says publicly, close parenthesis, and admitted that, open parenthesis, NATO was causing the war, close parenthesis. He went on to say, I just want everybody to know this, and that he is disgusted with the French president, along with other leaders of European countries, for doing everything they can to cause war. Now, to be fair, it's interesting that his expose has come at this time when, what with France politics collapsing along with the uprising of the right-leaning political parties in the rest of Europe,
Yeah.
then it could be he's making hay whilst the sun shines.
Yes.
I don't know why he waited 3 years to divulge this, what was said to him.
Mm.
His opinion about the whole thing is very much like mine, that the conflict began in 2014
Yeah.
when the West supported a coup in Ukraine.
Mm.
He emphasized this in the blurb, in this article in
Yeah.
the newspaper. He also said, which I didn't know, that the US was building up the Ukrainian army in the subsequent years of 2014, and at one time it was the largest army in Europe. I didn't know that.
Mm.
He also said that Russia wanted peace, but Joe Biden said he would crush Russia with sanctions. He went on to say that peace deal proposals have been put on the table by Russia, and he thinks that Trump could be open to such conditions.
Mm.
But, open parenthesis, now it's Europe who's failed with warmongers that continue the war. Close parenthesis. He said mainly France, German Chancellor Merz, and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in fact a couple of years ago, Boris Johnson went to Kiev to tell Zelensky not to make peace back then
Mm.
and that he should fight on. And so we are now where we are. You
Mm.
know, we've said in previous podcasts how the three aforementioned European nations are trying to ramp up their militaries,
Mm.
but with not much success, I
Yeah.
might hasten to add. But the main point of this podcast is that according to Jeffrey Sachs, Macron is lying in public. Macron knows this,
Mm.
so he must have a lot of blood on his hands for the millions of deaths brought about by this conflict.
Right.
There you are.
Okay. Right. Um. Yeah, I'm just going to open what I've got to say with obviously this is one person's word against another on a unrecorded supposed conversation. Okay.
It's exactly
Um,
why I questioned why it was only let out of the bag three
yeah.
years later.
Okay. No, this is nothing against one side or another. Yeah. Um, I mean, it's not a revelation for me, which is a sad thing to say, that there are leaders around Europe who are,
We can all see that.
yeah, beating the war drum, as it were. Yeah. Um, and um, for whatever reasons this may be, and again, speculations abound on that one in my mind. Um, but yeah, it's. I mean, I grew up with Russia always being this big bad monstrosity that was east of Europe. Yeah, almost like people needed it. Okay, was Russia a threat? Well, post-war, they took half of, or a lot of Eastern Europe under their wing and everything else. Okay, this is history. Yeah, ancient history now, I may add. Whether or not Putin sees that still as part of Russia or part of a federation or some sort of buffer zone, okay, he's old Soviet. Yeah. Um, in which case, you don't give the man an excuse to act upon his whims and possibly with a big support, possibly around those within the Kremlin. Yeah, I don't know about the wider population of Russia, whether they really cared or anything else, or if they just want to carry on with their lives. Um, War is never a good thing. You should always be trying to pursue peace where you can.
I don't think that this is important. I think what's important is the fact that this guy Sachs has
Yeah,
said
what you
that
said. Yeah,
Macron has been lying. What you have to look at is the history of Jeffrey Sachs
yeah,
and who he is
yeah.
and how long he's been active
I'm
and
not.
who he's been active with. And he's quite a solid guy.
No, I've seen his speeches.
And
Yeah,
Macron, he's a politician,
yeah.
So
This is the point. This is
the
the
ways
point.
and balances there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see why Sachs would actually lie in this instance. Yeah. Um, what would he get to gain from it? Like I said, I've just emphasised that it's stuff we all already suspected or knew in one way or
Yes,
another.
of course. Those of us
And
on the outside looking in, of course.
yeah, and um, Macron, well, we know he's two-faced. Yeah, and all jokes about French and everything else aside, obviously. Um, yeah, as you said, he's a self-interested politician who's got a
They
lot of
all
issue.
are, aren't they? They all are.
Well, I thought I elected my politicians to be public servants for me to act in my best interests. Yeah.
You must be disappointed then.
Well, I'll say anything one way or another um, on that score. Um, yeah, I mean, okay. In fairness to, yeah, okay. I made it to record here. Okay, let's for a moment imagine that these three major politicians, in their own imaginations or in their own views, are operating in the best interests of their country. Yeah. Maybe we have to be strong against Russia or Putin. Yeah, okay. Let's link the two together. Russia and Putin are one in the same. Okay.
Yep.
Um, Putin, you have to remember also that Putin was head of the KGB. He probably knows more about um, our leaders than we'll ever know this side of 50 years,
Of
and
course.
only from
Of
history
course.
books. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I mean, Putin is probably, as he sees it, acting in the best interests of Russia, yeah, and his people. But ultimately, he's decided to send people off to war as well. Yeah, it doesn't matter how long the war would have lasted in his mind, 3 days or 3 years, it's still costing Russian lives as well. Yeah.
It depends on if you want to go back to 2014 or not.
Well,
You,
again, yeah, I'm
you've got to go back to the beginning before you can. I mean, I don't think that Putin one fine day woke up and he said, "I know, I'm going to
yeah.
go in. I'm going to go invade Ukraine."
Well, whether you like it or not, he did explain his reasoning
Yes, he
in
did.
an interview with an American journalist,
Yeah,
an established American journalist, not some podcaster like us. He did it. He did it to someone who has a reputation, whether you agree with the guy or not. But he explained his outline for doing what has happened. Yeah,
that's right.
his rationale.
Yeah.
I've not heard a sensible rationale or one that makes any sense to me from my own Western leaders. I mean, okay, I feel sorry for the people of Ukraine who never seem to catch a break one way or another, whether they're dealing with the history of Ukraine as being one of conquering by other people, Poland or other countries. The minute they do seem to have some autonomy, they have corrupt leaders, supposedly, that the present administration was supposedly replaced from a corrupt administration. Previous to it, they just happened to be more pro-Russian. Um, yeah, there's been a civil war going in Russia, like you said, since 2014. And yeah, to say Ukrainians are a united people isn't necessarily true either. Um, okay, why? Okay, and yeah, Sachs has said what he said, a private conversation between him and the French president, Macron. Why would Macron say that to him as well, is a question I've got.
I don't know. I don't know, and because we never know what political figures say to people. Sometimes it's to let off steam.
Mm,
Sometimes it's just to, I've got to tell someone. I mean, why do people give secrets away?
mm,
Why do spies give secrets away?
yeah, I mean,
Why do I don't know. I mean, I've had even here in Brazil with candidates for being the state governor.
mm,
They've told me things that they would never tell a Brazilian,
no, well,
and it's just to sort of get the hair off the chest, I suppose.
yeah, I mean, unless we're suggesting Macron is a puppet of somebody else's. I mean, he's already said Biden. Yeah, Biden said no. I'm going to crush the guy, crush Russia. Well, um,
I think that's more of a viewpoint of his.
yeah, yeah,
The actual thing that he said that happened,
mm,
that he was that he had first hand knowledge
mm,
of happening was this
yeah.
conversation that Macron had with him when Macron was given in this award in
Well,
2022.
I remember Macron going and visiting Putin and having a sit down conversation with him. I don't think my memory's wrong there. Macron was actually running around trying to be the peacemaker, if I remember rightly, so to speak. Yeah, trying to talk to Putin. I think he actually went to Moscow to speak to him. I remember something. Yeah, um, and I remember pictures of the long table because Putin sits on a long table, whether it's intimidatory or it's his own security or yeah, Putin just likes to showboat like that. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, that's not that is a Russian way of doing business. That always has been. Yeah. Um, I think if you gave Putin a good offer tomorrow, I think he would consider it. Part of negotiation is this is where we are, this is where you are.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah,
sit down
sure.
and talk. That is part of negotiating. Okay, we're talking about land of a country that people in that certain part of that land might actually want a more Russian influence on their world.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do. They do
yeah.
in the east of Ukraine. Yes, they do. They
Well,
do.
I know they speak Russian or what
That's
passes.
right.
I mean,
They
remember right?
feel that they are Russian. I
Yeah.
ask myself, what does Germany, what do the leaders of Germany, France, and the UK have in common? And sometimes it's right in front of your face, and you just so obvious you can't see it.
I mean, I can think of common connections. I can't think of, if you're asking me as nationalities, only I can argue historical ties, but um,
Well, let me break this enigma for you.
mm,
What does Merz, Macron, and Starmer all have in common is that they're all about to lose the job, right? They're on France is all but done.
yeah,
The UK is all but done. Even the backbenchers of the Labour Party have said if he doesn't sort anything out by May, he's
yeah,
out.
yeah.
And the AfD in Germany is
Mm.
now the most popular party.
Yeah, but
So they're all about to lose their jobs.
yeah,
And
but
I think they might be wanting to do a Zelensky
yeah,
and be involved in a war, a hot war, so that they can bring in the War Act and
y-
stay in their position.
yeah, but this supposed comment to Sachs actually predates that. Starmer didn't even know he was going to be prime minister then. Macron has always been hanging. Admittedly, Macron's been hanging on by his fingernails on more than one occasion over many years. And I mean, Mertz is a new player in the game, effectively. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I do agree. I mean, yeah, it's the old thing. We'll have a war, but this supposed comment predates that.
Yeah,
Um,
you've got when you're a new regime, you've got to carry on where the old one left off.
well, yeah. I mean, you can do a 180 or whatever they call it. They say 360. 360 means you've gone back to where you are. 180 is complete U-turn. Or yeah, sorry, 360, yeah, U-turn. But um,
Starmer's never done that.
well, I yeah, I mean, I'm very, very concerned about all this. To tell me that a politician has lied is again not a revelation, or a politician is keeping something from me. It's not a rev. Or I've
I'm
seen a
surprised.
politician.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that you're not saying to me, Steve, you're boring me.
I wouldn't describe you as boring. I
No,
mean,
because you're saying that a politician is being less than
yeah, yeah.
honest.
No, that's what I mean. I mean, yeah, the scenario's the same. It's only the names are just changed. Yeah, it's. Am I concerned? I think? I mean, I honestly think that on the present trajectory, yeah, I mean, changing what Andrew going on from there just a sec, that Europe, yes, is on a collision course to some kind of hot war. Well, there is already a hot war happening. Even a proxy war is a hot war. Yeah. Um, there's British armaments going there. There's British trained troops going
Yeah,
there.
the UK have decided to send some aircraft up to Poland.
Mm.
Both of them,
Yeah. Yeah.
both of the airplanes.
Well, okay, fair enough. I mean, even two fighter jets, the two fighter jets that they didn't have before. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Brazilians have just bought an early 2000 ship, yeah, a landing vessel from the British as well, HMS Bulwark. It's just been bought by the Brazilians. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it's a bit of an old. It was ready to go to the scrappies almost, and
I think we did a podcast about that, about one careful owner. It
yeah,
was an aircraft carrier
yeah,
that the UK is wanting to sell.
yeah.
They almost sold it to the Australians, but I think the Australians started kicking the tires and found out that it wasn't all that cracked up to be.
Well, I mean, let's just face it. Aircraft carriers are probably the most used ships about because they're going anywhere. There's a bit of excitement potentially going to happen. Um, yeah, I mean,
Not if the British they're not. They're always in dock.
you've got a very cynical view of our armed
I'm,
forces. His Majesty's armed forces.
I'm afraid I do because I know what the facts are.
Well, I'm not going to go into. I mean, getting back to our thing, speculation aside, speculation and everything. Are our leaders chomping at the bit to have some action against Russia? I think they are, and I do think you're quite right. And I think probably even back 2 years ago, they could see that there were going to be issues. It didn't matter who was in charge of the UK. Yeah, you do there's there's been a threat to the political elite for about 5 years now across Europe. Yeah, I'm not interested in the US. I mean, the US can look sort of big enough to look after themselves. Across Europe, there's been a threat to the political elite. Therefore, they're having to look at ways to concern, scare, cajole the population into some sort of abeyance. Yeah. Um, if you ask the population across most of the population across Europe, are you really concerned about what happens in Ukraine? And probably they'll say, well, we're worried about the people there, but we don't particularly want to be involved where Ukraine and Russia decide the garden fence is going to go. And that's the sad fact about it. If you start and what we're doing, yes, we're feeding the beast, as it were. Yeah, we should have been talking to Putin 2 years ago. Putin's big enough to be told that he's a bad, naughty boy, and he doesn't really care about that. In that fact,
should have been talking to Putin 10 years ago.
Well, whatever. Yeah, I mean, okay. I'm not. I mean, I can only worry about what is a now, not what should have happened in 2 administrations ago in the US, for example, which is the primary cause of it. But I said I'm not worried about the US at the moment. I'm worried about European lives, European people. I know that the US will probably not get involved in a hot war in Europe
No. Well,
at the present time. Yeah,
no.
given the present administration. Disregards who calls what 10 years ago. And that's what worries me. I don't want to officially see British people killed in the Ukraine.